Farmweek is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farmweek, we'll have a special feature story edition of our show. We'll continue our 35th anniversary celebration with a Farmweek flashback. The Roughton family always loved food and cooking. They eventually turned it into a family specialty food business and restaurant located in Indianola, Mississippi.
In southern gardening, pumpkins and gourds abound this time of year. There are many unusual kinds available.
Our first story today is a new one. Meet the newly honored Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year, as named by the Mississippi Forestry Association. John Arrechea only has 120 acres, but he shows what can be accomplished with a little management.
This area here at one time for a number of years was in different Christmas trees, probably improved variety of Virginia pine. And so as time went on, my wife tells me I need to slow up a little bit. So this was just open field for a while after the last Christmas trees were harvested. Anyway, and so I went ahead and planted this area in loblolly. So this is a stand. I'm real proud of it.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artist Ford. Welcome to Farm Week. Today it's a feature story edition of our show, and it starts with a brand new story.
Artists, in our first story, we meet a gentleman whose passion for trees is unmistakable. Many children in the Oxford, Mississippi area got their first introduction to what tree farming is all about thanks to the school tours that John Arrechea hosted on his property for 25 years. John continues to be a strong advocate for forestry and always has time to show a visitor to his farm what it means to be a good steward of the land. Thursday night in Tupelo, John Arrechea was named the Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year by the Mississippi Forestry Association. This sign marks the turnoff for Springwood Christmas Tree Farm, John Arrechea's tree farm south of Oxford, Mississippi. What are now open areas on this beautiful place used to be covered in Christmas trees. Lots of Christmas trees, 7 acres worth in fact. Christmas trees were the first main enterprise of this farm. From 1985 to 2010, John Arrechea had school groups out here each year. He taught them about what it takes to produce Christmas trees and about how to take care of the land.
This was a highlight of my year when the children, even pre-kindergarten and kindergarten, came out in the July and August, September, hot out here, but I knew that the children were going to be coming, and they bring their school buses in, and sometimes with as many as 60 children in one group. So, but I enjoyed that. Each November and December for 25 years, John Arrechea used his tree farm as a demonstration area to educate young people about forestry. During this time, he figures he sold well over 4,000 Christmas trees. Also during these years, John's wife Lois operated a related business each holiday season. She made wreaths and garland from all the cull trees in a workshop in this house on the farm. Although the tours for children ended in 2010 and Christmas tree sales are now limited to stock he buys wholesale and brings in, John is still always more than happy to take a walk on his property with visitors or friends and talk about his tree farm.
The thing that kind of impresses me is with 120 acres, he's got a wide variety of habitat. I mean, he's got some bottomland hardwood, he's got some upland old growth, you know, an area where he's done the Christmas tree farm that he's gradually converting over to pine, and then the pine plantation areas. It's just amazing the variety of habitat he has here.
This ridge on the farm was converted from Christmas trees to loblolly pine production in 2007. John Arrechea personally planted 1,000 seedlings as a reforestation project. This area here at one time for a number of years was in
different Christmas trees, probably improved variety of Virginia pine. And so as time went on, my wife tells me I need to slow up a little bit. So this was just open field for a while after the last Christmas trees were harvested. Anyway, and so I went ahead and planted this area in loblolly. So this is a stand. I'm real proud of it.
Adjacent to the young trees is a stand of 21-year-old loblolly. Forestry consultant Bill Canale worked with John Arrechea on a harvest operation on this part of the tree farm in 2008. A first thinning was conducted on 66 acres of loblolly.
I actually found a quality thinning crew from Bruce, Mississippi. We negotiated with them and conducted basically a fifth row system, fairly light thinning, but it's a beautiful stand of high quality genetics, pole quality material, and John said it was planted with International Paper Company stock, and certainly left enough volume to come back and do a second cut within the next few years.
There has also been other forest management work in addition to harvesting and reforestation on this tree farm in the last 5 years. Other practices have included the rehabilitation of existing fire lanes in 2008, as well as the installation of new ones.
So we come in and, of course, put water bars and turn out ditches on the existing fire lanes, put in new ones, and we covered it with some arrowleaf clover, some common Bermuda, and it's held really well. You know, we don't see much erosion, and he's also got some native grasses coming back on it as well. He's got some common Lespedeza for wildlife. So he was looking at 3 things really with the fire lanes: 1, fire control, some wildlife habitat, and then some good areas that he can get around the property and keep an eye on it.
John Arrechea's most recent forest management work on the tree farm was performing a QVM spray in 2011. Working through his consultant and his service forester with the Mississippi Forestry Commission, John obtained cost-share funding for an aerial application to control both woody and herbaceous species of vegetation in the pine plantation. A controlled burn is scheduled to take place in the winter of 2013.
John Arrechea is just a prime example of what we like to see in a forest landowner. He manages his tree farm on a sustainable basis. He has a diversity of crops in his business. He's got the traditional forestry going on. He does thinning and regeneration, but he also does his little Christmas tree farm sales.
Unlike some tree farmers, forestry is more than just a hobby for John Arrechea. He is college trained in this field and was a forester with the U.S. Forest Service until his retirement in 1987. John has had a written forest management plan for his property since the day he bought it 42 years ago.
A landowner's objectives can vary, and depending on what they want to do, they can either manage for economic gain, or they can have multi-purpose management. John manages multi-purpose. He is a big advocate for wildlife. He also has the Christmas tree farm here, so he has income-producing opportunity as well as beneficial enjoyment.
But probably the most impressive thing that really stood out to me was what Mr. John and Miss Lois do for the community in promoting forestry and the tree farm program. He's held a position on the Oxford Tree Board, served as the chair on that board, and he's helped found a nature trail which was actually named after him here in the community.
Perhaps most importantly, John Arrechea is responsible for helping organize the Lafayette County Forestry Association 20 years ago. John is now the editor of the Lafayette CFA newsletter and serves on the board as treasurer. He has been a member of the Mississippi Forestry Association since 1965 and the Society of American Foresters since 1967. From Oxford, Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting. You can watch this story on John Arrechea again at our Farm Week website, Facebook page, or on YouTube. That website address is farmweek.msucares.com. We'll also have links and some contact information for agencies where you can get forestry advice to help you start to manage a tree farm. An artist with only 120 acres, it just goes to show you don't have to have a huge amount of timberland in order to have a real efficient tree farm.
And he's got some economic growth going on with the trees, and then he's also still got the enjoyment of the wildlife and everything. So he's definitely gone in the right direction. Well, it's time now for the trivia quiz today on Farm Week. It's about how much agricultural land there is in Mississippi. We're talking more than just row crops. We're asking what percentage of Mississippi's land is involved in forestry and agricultural production. Is the answer 26%, 38%, 52%, 73%? We'll have the answer after the day's Southern Gardening segment.
With fall in the air, every harvest display needs a pumpkin or two. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman will show us some unusual pumpkins, squash, and gourds to add seasonal interest.
Fall is in the air, and harvest-related displays must have a pumpkin or two, but there's a lot more to choose from than the traditional jack-o'-lantern. Today I'm at Courtney Farms in Ocean Springs, where the garden center has been transformed into a pumpkin patch. Pumpkins are a member of the cucurbit family that also includes squashes and gourds. Besides orange, colors include red, yellow, white, blue, and multicolored stripes. They can be miniature, flattened, necked, smooth, winged, and warty. The Cinderella pumpkin is a variety from France. It's rumored to have been the model for Cinderella's pumpkin carriage. This peanut pumpkin is a cross between a pumpkin and a Hubbard squash. The warty surface adds coarse texture to any display. Turban squash are a popular hat-shaped variety that Native Americans grew. It makes a good fall decoration with its unusual shape and multicolored stripes. While the large pumpkins get the most attention, mini pumpkins are very versatile. Pumpkimon has the white skin with orange vertical stripes, while Baby Boo is a snow-white miniature. Gourds also come in amazing varieties. With wings and warts, these gourds are colorful and spectacular. The white crown of thorns gourd is an unusual fruit having 10 fingers pointing upward from the flower end. When making your purchase, be sure to inspect your pumpkin, squash, or gourd. They will last longer if there is no surface damage. Unfortunately, that includes carving. And believe it or not, most are delicious when baked or made into a pie. Pumpkin, squash, and gourds can add interest and beauty to any fall display. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Evidence of growing pumpkins goes back 5,000 years in North America, but the tradition of carving pumpkins is said to have its roots in Ireland. The Irish first carved faces into turnips and potatoes. When they immigrated to America, they started carving pumpkins.
It's time for the answer to today's trivia quiz on Farm Week, and it concerns how much of Mississippi's land is involved in agricultural and forestry production. Well, the answer is 38%. That's according to the 2007 Census of Agriculture by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Mississippi has just over 30 million acres of land. Almost 11.5 million acres are in agriculture and forestry production. We're going to pause now for a break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll have the calendar and one more feature story for you. We'll have a Farm Week flashback from 2006. If you're in Indianola, Mississippi, and the subject of food comes up, don't be surprised if the Roughton family's name is mentioned in the conversation.
Each year, many Mississippians are seriously injured or killed when farm tractors overturn. One cause of these accidents is improper hitching. If a tractor is hitched at any point above the drawbar, it can flip over backwards. Never hitch a tractor using the bar between the 3-point hitch upper and lower links or at the top link attachment point. The stationary drawbar is the only safe location for tractor hitching. A message from the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Now, before we get back to our last story, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The 2012 Southwest Mississippi Grazing School takes place Friday, November 9th. The location is Sage Farms on Gloucester Road near Meadville. Seating is limited to 80 people, so you need to register by the deadline of November 2nd. Sage Farms is a good example of a small cattle operation making the most of its acreage. Winter grazing, clover selection, animal nutrition, and stockpiling warm season grasses are on the agenda. We'll have a link to the directions on our Farm Week calendar and Facebook page. If you're interested in starting or managing a natural resource enterprise, attend the workshop on Tuesday, November 13th. The location is Quail Hollow Ranch, Highway 11 South, Purvis. Information presented will include agritourism, fee hunting, fee fishing, and similar businesses. Controlling wild hogs and planting longleaf pines will also be covered. Registration fee is $25 and that includes lunch. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot. In case you haven't tuned in the last few weeks, we're celebrating Farm Week's 35th anniversary. Now, Farm Week first appeared on the air October 3rd, 1977. One of the ways that we'll be celebrating this year will be airing some of our feature stories from years past. Suppose you started an antique business and put a restaurant inside of it to encourage people to visit. Eventually, you got rid of the antiques, though, because it was the food that the people raved about the most. That's part of the story behind today's last feature segment. The Roughton family of Indianola, Mississippi still have the restaurant and they're taking their food to the world one bite at a time. This story first aired on Farm Week 6 years ago.
I love to cook. It is a passion with me, and we never go anywhere that we don't get some little tweaky idea of, oh, why don't we do that with catfish in the restaurant? Or why don't we take that idea and add some this to it and make a sauce that we can sell through Taste of Gourmet.
You're around Evelyn Roughton for, say, 2 or 3 seconds at the most before you find out about her two passions, family and food. The Roughton family is well known for their Indianola restaurant called The Crown. There's also their famous smoked catfish pate. More than 1,000 people around the country are selling their food products through their Taste of Gourmet direct sales company. All of these enterprises work together to create an effect that is greater than the sum of the parts.
We are so fortunate that the business we've been able to make a living doing is something we all absolutely adore. The food part of it is a joy to all of us. Working with the consultants is a joy for Jennifer. Tony is just right there backing us up, doing whatever needs to be done in the office and keeping things going. But we look forward to going to work in the morning.
Starting in 1972, this building, 5 miles north of Indianola, Mississippi, held the Roughton's English antique import business called the Antique Mall. 4 years later, they started the Crown Tea Room inside the building to attract people out to buy antiques. It was the time when the Mississippi farm-raised catfish industry was growing rapidly in the area. The Roughton's began to feature catfish dishes at the Crown, developing many recipes for this versatile fish. It was their smoked catfish pate, however, that put them in the national spotlight.
A catfish farmer's daughter was getting married and they wanted everything to be catfish. So that's how we created our catfish pate. We used a friend's smoked salmon recipe from England, did a lot of tweaking to it.
In 1990, the catfish pate won the Outstanding Hors d'oeuvre award at the International Fancy Food Show in New York. It was a validation of the Roughton's talents and commitment to producing high-quality food. By the time the Crown restaurant moved into downtown Indianola in the late 1990s, it had a nationwide reputation for its catfish dishes and desserts. The antique business was dropped and the Roughton's began selling the catfish pate in several pie mixes wholesale to stores. The wholesale food business is super competitive, though, with the Roughton's competing against much larger companies.
We started going to wholesale shows, selling to stores. We've sold to Dean and DeLuca, Javalia Coffee, all kinds of wonderful stores. And then we realized that what we wanted to do was sell directly to the consumer and put a taste in their mouth of our pate or our Mississippi Delta fudge pie. Then they knew how good it was.
The Roughton's launched their Taste of Gourmet direct sales company in 1996. The sales are made through what are called consultants. For $75, a person can become a Taste of Gourmet consultant. It includes training materials and products for the consultant to hold a tasting where the customers try and hopefully buy Taste of Gourmet items. There are about 1,000 Taste of Gourmet consultants selling the 58 items presently available. They range from the popular sweet potato muffin mix to the cinnamon-flavored sinful fruit dip mix.
We were doing just the smoked catfish pate and a line of about 8 pie mixes. After we created Taste of Gourmet, we started going into salad dressings and dip mixes and sauces that I had always wanted to do.
All of Taste of Gourmet's products are made at the Indianola plant. It allows them to exercise quality control. It also means when the inventory runs low, the Roughtons and their customers don't have to wait for another company to gear up its production line.
Because we do produce the products right here, if we run out of our gumbo, then our production line switches directly over to gumbo. I don't have to wait for products to come in. I never have to back order my customers because within a day I can have as many of whatever I need made.
Taste of Gourmet and the Crown remain Roughton family businesses. There are 18 employees. Daughter Jennifer Roughton Schomburg is the CEO. Father Tony Roughton runs the figures and lends support wherever it's needed. Even granddaughter Sage is involved. Evelyn comes up with the recipes.
I do all of the creative work itself. My daughter Jennifer has some great ideas and she'll say, well, why don't we do this? And then she turns it over to me and goes back to her work, and I end up in the kitchen trying to create that thing then.
The Roughton's Crown restaurant plays a critical role in product development. The Crown's patrons are not surprised when Evelyn Roughton asks their opinions of a new recipe. If it can pass the Crown restaurant test, it's a long way towards becoming a Taste of Gourmet product.
The Crown is one of our testing grounds. We are forever taking something up there and saying, okay, now be real critical. Tell me, what does it have enough dill? Does it have too much mayonnaise? And we do that over and over. The people who work here in the plant are really good to tell me the truth too. And up in the restaurant, they will definitely tell me the truth.
The restaurant also has a gift shop featuring Taste of Gourmet products, as well as unique books and art created by Mississippians.
We do love the fact that they are able to shop for all kinds of unique things, and a lot of these are Mississippi. We've got Mississippi artists, we've got Ethel Wright Mohammed's things here, we've got potters from Mississippi. We're very fortunate that we have such a talented group of very local Delta artists who are willing to share their things and sell them through us.
Evelyn Roughton says Mississippi State University has been a great supporter and source of help in product development. MSU has helped identify ingredient suppliers and has helped keep the Roughtons in compliance with food regulations. Anna Hood has worked with the Roughtons since 1992.
Through my work with the Extension Service, I have worked with Evelyn in helping to provide her with suppliers for her raw ingredients going into her products, help with her labeling issues, as well as the nutritional labeling of her products.
While many of Taste of Gourmet's products have Southern origins, Evelyn Roughton says she's developing recipes which are familiar to customers in other parts of the United States. The Internet and Taste of Gourmet's website are an important part of its dealings with retail customers and its consultants.
The web is an enormous draw for our consultants to come to us. We've had people from Oregon, from Guam. We have some military wives in Guam who came to us simply because they were looking for something, a product they could sell, saw us on the web, and we're able to ship to Guam through the post office.
Taste of Gourmet products are available only through its sales consultants and the website.
All of the Taste of Gourmet products that we have created just for this will be sold only by our consultants, not through stores. It's just important to us to back up our consultants by not selling it through the stores.
Evelyn Roughton remains excited about Taste of Gourmet, and she has no plans to quit.
Tony and I could retire, but I don't see us retiring from something you love this much. And besides, if I'm an old lady of 92 and I have an idea, I can still go in the kitchen and come up with something. So I intend for this to be a long-range business for us. we've got a lot of growing to do, and we are looking forward to it.
And you can watch this story again on Taste of Gourmet and the Crown Restaurant on our Farm Week website, our Facebook page, or YouTube. We'll also have links to the websites for the Taste of Gourmet and the Crown Restaurant. Our website address is farmweek.msucares.com. Of course, that was back before high definition, of course, Leighton. Talked with Evelyn, and they're all doing fine. Daughter Jennifer is now the manager of the Crown Restaurant, but Taste of Gourmet is still going, and Evelyn is still coming up with recipes.
I bet she is.
Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we're going to continue our 35th anniversary celebration with another flashback.
George Berry of Pearl, Mississippi has been carving since the age of 6. A member of the Craftsmen's Guild of Mississippi, Berry is known nationwide for his skill. He says he learned it from his father.
And in Southern gardening, know your plant's height before you dig a hole. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching, and have a good week.